What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 9 of the 30 to 10 podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Nguyen. Happy Thursday to you guys as we're recording this. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for your support always, checking us out wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube if you're watching there as well, or Facebook or Twitch or Twitter, X, or wherever the case may be. Uh, you know, we always love the comments in our videos that you guys give us and whatnot. So just everything overall, just appreciate your support. Brian will not be joining us today for this episode. It's just gonna be me. Not the news you want to hear, I'm sure, but we wanted to get this out to you regardless. A couple of headlines surrounding the Giants. These past few days, some NFL news came out as well. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll go from there. So again, thank you for checking us out. And without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Brian will be back with us next week, so not to worry on that end. Um, Alrighty. So let's start with our first segment of the day. It's going to be First Down, presented by SeatGeek. As you guys always know, use the code BELLYUPSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek is the best place to get your tickets. Sporting events, the NBA playoffs are still going on. A lot of baseball games are still being played every single day. So SeatGeek is the best place to get your tickets, and they know what seats are good, and they will make sure to give you the best value or best bang for your buck, per se. So shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring our first segment, also known as First Down. So the Giants. What's up with the Giants? We'll get that out of the way. The Giants made a couple moves. Today, as we're recording this, the Giants signed Allen Robinson, the wide receiver, the veteran wide receiver, I should say. He used to play for the Bears. He used to play for the Steelers recently as well. So shout out to him. 1 year deal is what the contract is. And Robinson, if we signed him like 2 years ago, then maybe we would be okay with it. I'm sure a lot of fans would be like, "Oh, the Giants made a great move," but signing Robinson right now, it's like whatever thing. You know what I'm saying? Because when you consider the fact that his lack of production Alrighty, so that was some technical difficulties there. My apologies for that. And yeah, we will get that fixed for the audio version of the podcast. This is the first time everything just completely just went downhill. So wow, that was bad. Okay, so we were discussing. We'll start from the beginning, okay? Because the Wi-Fi just completely just went out, and the connection was bad and everything. So we'll start over. So Allen Robinson, right, just signed with the Giants as of today, 1 year deal, 31 years old. If the Giants signed him like 2 years ago, then we'll be all going nuts. Like, oh, the Giants have a wide receiver number one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was great. Not the case these days. Unfortunately, Robinson, he's a guy that didn't really produce last year. He was with Pittsburgh, had like 30 something catches, 200 something yards, no touchdowns. So, at this point in time, Robinson's nothing more than a veteran sign. I was excited though when I woke up to the news. I was like, okay, the Giants got a weapon. We got someone that we could that could possibly make some noise. It's a 1 year deal, so it's a low risk, high reward type of thing if he were to get back to his old self. So I like the deal, but at the same time, it was like, it's not a too big of a thing to think that. because you because you already have Darius Slayton, who is working through a contract extension. You have Malik Neighbors, Wandale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, Isaiah McKenzie, being that Isaiah Hodgins too. So it's like, Robinson, is he gonna 1 year deal? Yeah, but will he make it at camp? Who knows? But at the same time, it is a good sign. It's a veteran guy. The Giants do have a lot of young guys in that receiving room, and it doesn't hurt to have a veteran guy who's gone through it over the years. So yeah, I like it. I do like the deal. 1 year deal is nothing too crazy, so we'll go with that. But more importantly, the Giants made another move on yesterday actually, and they claimed that Nate Rourke off waivers. Now, who is Nathan Rourke? You may not know. It's all good. I didn't know much about him either until last night. So this Nathan Rourke player, he's an undrafted quarterback from Ohio University, 6'1", 210 pounds. He was undrafted in 2021. He actually made a name for himself playing not in college, but more notably in the Canadian Football League. His 78.7% completion percentage last in 2022 was the actually record in the Canadian Football League, and he was named the most valuable Canadian, or basically MVP, after his 25 touchdown season. He was let go by the Patriots recently because, when you have Jacoby Brissett, you have Drake May, you have Joe Milton, really no need for a fourth quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And they also have Bailey Zappi, just in case they wanted to go with the fourth quarterback. So because he's still there. So yeah, Rook was kind of expendable at that point in time with the drafting of the two quarterbacks in May and Joe Milton. And then you have Brissett, the veteran guy. Really don't need Farouk, and he was on waivers, placed on waivers. And it was to the point where it was kind of a good thing the Giants claimed him off waivers, because there's another team that was trying to get him too, the Atlanta Falcons. So it's crazy how you sign a quarterback to a $100 million deal. You draft a quarterback at 8th overall. You have Taylor Heineke, and you still want to get another quarterback in Nathan Rourke. But luckily, the Giants beat the Falcons to it, and Rourke is now a New York Giant. Joe Shane and Brian Daboll, you would ask, like, do they have some familiarity with the young guy? Yes, they do. They had him actually on a late season workout in 2022. Rourke also has experience with the Giants the year prior when he tried out he tried out as a receiver, I should say, during minicamp in 2021, which ironically was the last year of Dave Gettleman and Joe Judge when they were the GM and the head coach, respectively. A little bit about Rourke from a scouting perspective. He threw for 7,457 yards with a 76 completion percentage during his 3 years at Ohio University. He threw 60 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. He won the John Cornish Trophy, which I guess is awarded to the top Canadian-born player in the NCAA. After college, so we know about the whole undrafted thing. He went to the Canadian Football League. He played for the British Columbia Lions. Yes, in that time, he threw for 4,035 yards. He had 42 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. So pretty solid numbers. He won, like I mentioned earlier, the most outstanding Canadian or MVP basically in the Canadian Football League in 2022. So that's just a few stats to bring up. Now, from a ability standpoint, he's he's more of a scrambling type of guy. He's not the guy to stay in the pocket. He's a zone read RPO type of quarterback. Not a lot of pocket, not great pocket awareness, I guess per se. Um, his numbers at Ohio were great, but he was a large part of the offense. He was throwing it, he was running with the ball. I think he had a couple of receiving touchdowns of his own as well, at in college. So I mean, for an option quarterback, he can work through progressions pretty well. But he's mostly known for his his off scheduling plays, like scramble out of the pocket and make plays with his legs, or uh instead of taking the wide open, what defenses give him, he wants to make, a bigger play. And whether that means uh, chucking it or just, like I just mentioned, I'm going to say it again, scrambling out of the pocket and just some way, somehow find a guy running a different route per se and just throwing it. A great example is the play he made when he was a Jacksonville Jaguar, and he played for them in the preseason, and they were playing the Cowboys. And he was scrambling out of the pocket. He broke a sack or two and just found his guy. That was like, okay, that's something that it was cool to see him, make a play like that. But at the same time, we understand that he does need to work on his pocket presence. He's not that great. He doesn't like to stay in the pocket, kind of like a Kurt Warner type of thing. When I bring up Kurt Warner, because the movie American Underdog, that movie, yeah, that movie came to mind because Kurt Warner wasn't. He was criticized in the beginning of that movie for not knowing how to stay in the pocket. But for some reason, when I thought of Nathan Rourke, or when we talk about Nathan Rourke, I thought of Kurt Warner in that movie. But the point is, not a bad signing for the Giants. I mean, you're going to have 4 quarterbacks on the roster now: Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito, and now Nathan Rourke. Do I expect Rourke to make a lot of noise? Not necessarily. I think he'll challenge for the QB3 spot. If Jones really isn't ready for week 1, then I could see Rourke making the roster as a QB3, but I don't know. I don't really feel like it was. Obviously, it's not a big move in the first place, anyways. But at the same time, he was a guy they brought from off the waiver wire because they were scared that he wouldn't clear waivers and be a complete free agent. So, it's nice to know. He's a guy that he makes exciting plays. That's what he likes to do, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But as a quarterback, you gotta stay in the pocket. You can't be making off schedule plays all the time. That's what Rourke is. Now, can he work on that? Sure. Just a matter of how well he does in training camp, and we'll see what he does when he performs once that time comes. So shout out to Nathan Rourke, and congrats on being a New York Giant. Before we go to second down, I want to discuss a few more Giants topics, and then I want to shift towards the other topics going around the NFL. Chris Snee, the former veteran guard for the Giants, drafted by the Giants in 2004, which is the same draft the Giants got Eli Manning. And Snee had a great career, played 9 years in the NFL for the Giants, was the right guard, and he was a pivotal part of the Giants' 2 Super Bowl championships. Recently, outside of the professional NFL life, he served as the offensive line specific scout for the Jaguars, and he was also an analyst for the Boston College Eagles the past couple of years focusing on personnel and scouting. In terms from a playing standpoint, Snead played in 141 games. He was forced to retire, though, in 2014 because of a hip injury, but he's made a good, solid name for himself in the coaching and scouting field. And now he joins the Giants, rejoins them as a scout, and it's good to see. And he will definitely bring his expertise to a team that has not had a great offensive line these past few years or so. So it's good to see a veteran guy and a knowledgeable guy like him join the staff and bring his knowledge of the game to this team. And so shout out to him. And then Drew Phillips, to be exact. Apparently, a lot of people are calling him a sleeper pick. Pro Football Focus, shout out to them. They have him as the third best pick of the third round. They talked about how his 23rd defensive stops. Now, you're probably thinking, what is a defensive stop? Like, is it passes batted down? Is it interceptions? According to Pro Football Focus, a stop is preventing the offense from getting 40% of the yardage needed to convert on a first down, 50% of the yards to convert on second down, and preventing a first down on third or fourth down. So apparently, Phillips had 23 of those stops last season, and that led all cornerbacks in the SEC. Good on him. Phillips had a 72.9 coverage grade in 2023, according to Pro Football Focus. He is mostly a slot corner. That's where he excels. But here's the thing. What stands out the most about Phillips is his aggressive run support defense. Quote, he was always destined for the day two, but a few scouts had a late first round grade on Mr. Phillips. One of the reasons was his football acumen. Multiple teams said, I should say, that his combine interview was among the best out of all the prospects because of his ability to see the game and grasp defensive concept. So it's clear he's a smart guy, smart prospect, smart player. He's physical at the position, and that, if you really think about it, right? Press coverage, one-on-one with the receiver. You gotta be really close to him, jam him off the line. Boom, you got to be aggressive. Now, the one thing about Phillips is he's not his hips aren't as fluid. He can't really turn his hips fast, but he's fast, but like in terms of flipping his hips and whatnot, he does struggle with that at times. His confidence in zone coverage isn't that great. Considering the fact that he's great in man, he's solid in man coverage, but when it comes to zone coverage, like a little bit shaky. But look, if teams had a late first round grade on him, it's for a reason, and it's because of his ability to see the game in a way that not others can. And for him to fall to the third round to the Giants, who desperately needed a cornerback number 2. It was nice to see. So, Phillips is a guy that I at first I was like, okay, kind of questionable. We could have got some other corners that were in the draft still. One guy I liked the most was Chris Abrams-Drain, who fell to the 5th round to the Broncos. And but at the same time, I'm happy with Phillips. I do like his confidence matching up against receivers one-on-one up close. And at the same time, I understand that there will be some limitations to start. He may only be a slot guy, which is kind of concerning because the Giants need a guy that can play on the outside of Deontay Banks. So, if he shocks the world, great. If he is truly one of the best third round picks out of this draft, great. That only benefits the Giants even more. That means they have their guy. And Phillips is 5'11". He'll be able to keep up in terms of size with the wide receivers, his speed. Factor that in, he'll be a good player. It doesn't matter how much of an impact he'll make from the beginning, and that's what matters the most. Because at this moment in time, the Giants do not have a cornerback number 2 on this roster that they can name, because Deontay Banks is going to be one of them. Who's going to be on the other side? That is yet to be determined. Alrighty. I will save the schedule stuff for the Giants next week. The schedule is set to release on Wednesday, so once Brian will be back with us, then we'll discuss, because we know about the opponents for the Giants. It's just a matter of when they're going to be playing them. So we will discuss all the schedule stuff next week. So as we shift towards the second segment of the day, which is going to be second down. So first down, we talked about the Giants. Now it's going to be second down. Second down is presented by Yeats Sunglasses. Use the code BELLYUPPOD for 10% off your order. Yeats affordable sunglasses. They have great materials. They look absolutely stylish. And honestly, it's the summertime. And sun's going to be out. Why not look good in Yeats Sunglasses? So shout out to them for sponsoring the second segment, also known as Second Down. Alrighty, so not sure if you guys heard about Mr. Austin Rivers. You know him, the basketball player, Doc Rivers' son, the son of a coach who didn't make it out of the first round with the team, but with Giannis and okay, I get it. Okay, Lillard and Giannis were hurt. Yeah, sure. Okay, great. Apparently, though, Austin Rivers made some headlines recently. The former point guard apparently said that you can put 30 NBA players in the NFL and they'll succeed. And you cannot put NFL players in the NBA and they will succeed. Let me get this straight. A guy who has no job goes on air, and I mean no job as in not playing the NBA, says you can't put 30 NBA players in the NFL. You can't put 30 players that are basketball players in the NFL, but you can't put 30 NFL players in the NBA and have success. Okay, buddy. Let me get this straight. Okay. There's a difference. Big difference. In the NFL, you're cutting. You're running and cutting in ways that you don't do in basketball. Basketballs are just back and forth, running up and down, up and down. NFL, you go on different routes, different angles, all that stuff. Between football and basketball is the easiest. Okay, let's be honest. NFL, we're talking, playbooks, multiple playbooks, different routes, concepts, different blocking assignments. Okay, you can't put Shaq at center and expect that he's going to do really good. It's not how it works. Footwork is key. Footwork on the court is way different from footwork on the field. All right. You put NFL players on the NBA, they can make it work. Literally, you're shooting a basketball. They can block shots on the defense side of the ball. It could work out. Okay. I just wanted to point that out because I don't know. I just feel like it was such a bogus comment. I know the two sports are obviously different, but you can't put 30 NBA guys in the NFL and say they're going to succeed. It's way different. Too many concepts, too many schemes. The running and all that is way different between the field and the court. I could see NFL players playing in the NBA. I could see them having more success than vice versa, putting basketball players on in a football field. And then JJ Watt, he made a tweet responding back to Austin Rivers saying, "You don't got a job in either right now, so how about you go ahead and try it?" Honestly, pretty solid argument to me. Other NFL news: Tyler Boyd, the former Bengals wide receiver, signing with the Titans on a one-year deal worth up to $4.5 million. It's a notable move, not only because he joins the team as their wide receiver number 3, but also he reunites with his coach in Brian Callahan, who was the offensive coordinator with Boyd during their time in Cincinnati. And so they're, reuniting once again. So Boyd joins a team that has Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins, both receivers signed to pretty good, solid amount of deals, good amount of money in their deals. Also, Treylon Burks, he'll be joining him as well, who kind of shifts to a wide receiver number 4 if he does remain on the roster. The former first-round pick has been very, very underwhelming since his arrival. So, but now, hey, Will Levis, you got 4 weapons. You got Burks, you got Boyd, you got Hopkins, you got Ridley. Don't forget about Okonkwo, the tight end. Tennessee had some weapons over there, and you got Tony Pollard in the backfield. So I like it. I did like the move. You can, Will Levis deserves as much help as he can have. The address offensive line in the draft, getting J.C. Latham at the 7th overall, which some people say that's a reach. I say it was kind of a necessity because Joe Alt was chosen at number 5. That kind of leaves you with the next tier of offensive tackles. And Latham, he's a big dude. He's a big dude. He's athletic, though, at the same time. So they are building the offense, Tennessee is. And speaking of Boyd, by the way, last season had 67 catches, 667 yards, 2 touchdowns. On their Super Bowl run, he was very pivotal, per se, during that year. So, before Jamar Chase and T. Higgins came along for the ride, Boyd was the leading receiver for that team. And unfortunately, his role changed throughout the years with Chase's emergence and Higgins playing the way he's been playing. So now he'll get to show us what he can do in Tennessee with Will Levis and Brian Callahan. So shout out to the Titans for making that move. And we'll see how that pans out as they look to make some noise in the AFC South. And then, shout out to Devin Funchess, by the way. Speaking about players who could play on the basketball court, Devin Funchess became the first NFL player to sign a professional basketball contract. Yes, he is not going to be playing the NBA, though, but he will be playing in a different league called the Professional Colombia Basketball League, also known as Baloncesto Profesional Colombiano. I think I nailed that one. He'll be playing for the team called the Caribbean Storm Llaneros. And so, yeah, he's going to be trying to do his thing over there. He played in the NFL up until 2022 when he was with the Panthers. And, yeah, I mean, kind of cool how plans change. You go from a sport you know your whole life in football to, he has experience playing basketball in his past, of course, but when you go from, being a professional football player to shifting towards basketball court, that's pretty cool, I must say. So shout out to Mr. Funchess. That just shows Austin Rivers, hey, NFL players can play basketball. Maybe next week we'll check on his statistics because I don't see any on my end that I could look up, but I will do further research on that one, and we'll see how Funchess is doing over there. I don't even know if the season's even started over there or if it's what process it's in. We'll find out. We shift to our third and final segment of the day, known as Third Down. Third Down is presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. Use the code BELLYUP for 15% off your order. These snacks are outstanding. Great to have in your pantry. Made with one of the best ingredients that you can have. So shout out to Righteous Felon for sponsoring our third and final segment, known as Third Down. So NCAA coming out. The reveal is next week. Exciting times for that. I'm very excited. And this is a long time coming. We haven't seen a NCAA football game in 9-10 years? Yeah, 10 years. And The reveal is going to be next week. The game isn't going to come out until I think it's June, July, right? If I'm not mistaken. No, I think it's July. Yeah, I think it's July. So exciting times in the video game world. When I was young, I had a PlayStation 3. I used to go over to my friend's house and play that game as well. Whether it's leading your team to the national championship. Personally, I led the University of California, Berkeley in that specific dynasty mode is what it's called. So for it to come back along with the other modes in the NCAA game. Now, how good it's going to be, we don't know. But if they took this long to make it, especially working hard on it the past year or two, then it has to be good for something. And as long as it's not the same as Madden, we'll be okay as well. And I know we don't talk about other sports, but I got to shout out the New York Knicks, man. I wish Brian was here to discuss it with me, but the Knicks are up 2-0 against the Indiana Pacers in the NBA playoffs in the second round. Jalen Brunson getting hurt last night, coming back on one leg and just almost putting up 30 points. He's been averaging like 36 a game. And the only reason he missed his average yesterday was because he was hurt. He didn't play the whole second quarter yet. He came back after halftime and put on a show. Josh Hart playing 48 minutes. He's been outstanding. Dante DiVincenzo, the third guy of that power friendship group, as I like to call it, those three guys from their days at Villanova, being on the same team in the NBA, it's pretty heartwarming to see. And for them to have that success just makes it even better. OG Anunoby's playing well. Isaiah Hartenstein playing well. Precious Achiuwa stepping up with Mitchell Robinson out for the next 6 to 8 weeks with an ankle injury. These Knicks, man, they play hard, and it's good to see a team from New York succeeding. And then the New York Rangers of the NHL, they just went up 2-0 on their series against their opponent. I forgot who it was, not being the hockey guy like I should be into it a little bit. But the Carolina Hurricanes, yes, they're up 2-0 in the series, and they looked, as we're recording this, to get a 3-0 lead against their opponent tonight. So hopefully they do that. But New York teams are on the up and up. The Knicks, the Rangers, Mets and Yankees aren't doing that bad either. It's just the Giants that we are worried about over here. But maybe they'll have that success this year. Maybe they see the Knicks succeeding and be like, hey, let's try to make some noise overall. But yeah, that will do it for episode 9 of the 3rd and 10 podcast. We appreciate you guys listening and following as always. Make sure to check out social media on Instagram and X and Twitter at 3rd and 10 pod. You can follow me on those same social media platforms. My personal account is Nathan_Nguyen 24. And check out the audio version on Spotify when it comes out or wherever you get your podcast. And we'll be back with you on Monday to discuss the Giants' schedule in terms of their opponents and who they'll be playing. The reveal isn't going to be until Wednesday. So once we get that reveal, we'll go over the schedule specifically on Thursday. But we'll give you guys a glimpse of who they'll be playing on Monday. So we'll do that. Any other headlines from the NFL, we'll discuss that as well. And we'll have more things planned out. So until Monday, we appreciate you as always. Thank you so much for listening to the 3rd and 10 podcast. I've been your host, Nathan Nguyen. Enjoy your weekend. We will see you next